Restarting.
Where would you like to fly to?
Bot Rix has correctly joined the channel.
Hearthstone.
No, I'll be up. Yo. Yo.
What's good?
Nothing much, man. Just glad to be home.
Impossible.
You know, I didn't
Yeah.
get off until 10:30.
What?
I didn't get off until 10:30.
I can't.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that party at 20 fucked us, by the way.
Is that really?
Something's not right. I don't think Kira did something right. It doesn't make sense. Like,
Why?
this is why I don't like splitting parties. Like, we tipped out. Our tip out was almost the identical to what we made. Like, that doesn't even make sense in my brain.
What was the tip out?
So the total tips before tip out was $72 and change. And then you had to divide that, or you have to multiply that by 0.06 whatever for 6%, and then divide that by, cut that in half. But I made $30 off the party, basically.
Okay.
And the everyone else, the tip out was 27 and change. Like what? Like how does that make
Weird.
sense?
Stuff I
But
heard.
like I don't know. Their check wasn't really that high. It was like $400 for 20 of them.
Hmm.
So, I don't know, whatever. I don't even want to think about it anymore. I need a fucking vacation, man. It's so depressing because like my friend that works at the boathouse, she worked from 11 to basically 11 and she made, hold on, I'll tell you exactly. How much did you make? She makes stupid money. Like a bad night for her, a bad single shift is like $300. Like, I'm like, that's a bad single shift? She's like, yeah. The fuck? Like, it's crazy. Anywho, what are you up to?
Not much, just questing.
Dude, what the fuck? My Merc died? How? How did my Merc die? How'd you die, you dumb bitch? Stupid Paige. Never trust a Paige. I go resurrect her. I'm playing both Diablo and WoW at the same time right now.
I'll bet you won. Good evening.
Min-maxing. Come here, Paige, you dumb bitch. Stop dying. Actually, you know what, Paige? I don't even know if I want you anymore. Wait, do I want Paige? What level do you get meditation from these mercs? I gotta go to the website and find out. Alright, whatever, Paige. I'll keep you around a little bit longer. Oh, wait, what's your level, Paige? 14. Oh, okay, never mind. Fucking Paige. Fucking Paige. Can you wear this bow yet? No, you can't. You can't do anything. You suck. You gotta play this mod. You're gonna fall in love with this mod if you play it. It's so fun. Think of Diablo 2 the way if it was updated. So like, it tells you exactly how much the loot filter alone just will make you want to play. There's a loot filter, an actual loot filter. So you don't see a bunch of fucking shit on the ground when you kill a bunch of things. It's fun. You can watch me play it on stream if you want. I'm playing it right now. Oh shit, that's not what I want to do. I'm about to actually come out wherever you're at because I need to go over to Kalimdor and turn in this quest so I can actually do shit. The quest log's full. Where are you at?
What?
You're not even appearing online. Where are you at?
I'm not on right now. I'm looking at something.
Oh. She got $500 all day. Wow. Most of this was morning, tonight was ass. Jesus Christ. So would you consider that a bad double for you? This Ogremore?
Yo! Why you would want to leave these sunny shores and crystal blue waters, I have no idea. It's like paradise down here. But don't tell my brother Zapeta that. He's bitter enough already about getting stuck up there in Tirisfal all day long. This Zeppelin here drops off at Orgrimmar, so you shouldn't have to worry about having to listen to him whine. But if you are in Tirisfal anytime soon, heed my warning and don't get him started.
That's what I hope to make on a double, but I might. Wait, what? So I'd rather make more, but I can't complain too much. So it's not. So it's an okay double. What would be considered a good double? The most I've ever made an Outback ever in a shift was on a double, and it was a little over $500. But I got extremely lucky because one table literally tipped me $250. It's a holiday tip. So I don't even know if I want to count that. You know what I mean? It's like an anomaly. They're like, I've never been tipped that before in my life. It was that dude that you knew that did drugs or whatever the fuck that guy, whatever he was. It was that guy.
James Nance.
Dude's fucking loaded, I guess. That guy was all over the map, bro. I could not. Dude, oh my god. Like, he couldn't. He ordered like the whole menu, and he just like kept wanting stuff and.
Yeah, he has a lot of money. He sells a lot of drugs, bro.
Yeah, he definitely was on something that night. I don't know what he was on, but something. Whatever. So what's up? You getting on or what?
I am on. I'm playing my hunter. Not on your server, on my server.
Fine. I won't boost you then.
Okay. Don't be mad.
What's your level?
31.
You know what's crazy? I think... Oh no, we can't. In World of Warcraft, I say you cannot invite players that are on a different round. Never mind. 0-30. Yeah. I was like, I think we can... So here's the thing. I know for a fact we can match one another in Battlegrounds because I face Dream Scythe people all the time. So I'm wondering if we can get into the same bracket. If we queue together, we'll like get on the same team if we like queue at the same time. You know what I mean? That'd be cool. We could do something like that.
It'd be very rare that we get on together.
If we queued at the exact same time, there's a good chance. Good chance. That's how people do win trading, by the way. They time their queues at the exact. They get in Discord. They're like, all right, 3, 2, 1, click, go. And usually 90% of the time they get matched together when they do that. Yeah. You know what Discord says? Discord says you're playing CurseForge. That's
what?
Funny. That's what Discord says. It says you're playing. Yeah,
I had it up because I was updating it. That's funny.
Oh, never mind. I clicked on our thing and it updated to playing World of Warcraft. That's weird. Fuck, I gotta run all the way up to... Dude, I'm gonna die. Oh, this is gonna be a rough run.
Yeah?
Yeah, I gotta run all the way up to Moonglade. I'm going to die a lot.
I can't do that yet.
Is there a faster way for me to get there from here? No, of course not. It's gonna be a very long run. Thank God I got a mount. So I'm confused. Did Sephin pick up Chris's shift or...
No, Chris called out. He's sick.
Because it shows on hot schedules that he picked it up.
No, he was already on the schedule.
Oh, I don't know what Madeline fucking texted me then. That doesn't even make sense, but whatever.
Madeline?
I call her Madeline.
Maddie?
Yeah. Madeline. Yeah, that was rough. That's... I like Stefan and all, but that was our 2 worst essays, and... rough. So 31. What are you doing? Like, are you about to do SM shit?
I'm about to do an RFK run real quick. I just got in the group.
What's cool about Hunter through all those dungeons, it's only a one and done. Like, you don't need to really hardcore grind anything until like later on. So,
Yeah. There is a drop here that I want from a boss. It's something, I forget what it was.
Pole arm, I think.
No, I have that. I have the armor piercer already.
Yeah, I rocked that for a while during that level bracket. She said if she was in a better station, she would have made 800. That's fucking gross. Oh, that's fucking insane, dude. She said she was in the worst station possible and she made 500. Ha! Oh my god, bro. She made half a grand today. Like, what?
I spent that today.
Ew. The fuck do you buy?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I didn't spend that much. I did buy like an $80 lock for my room. A new doorknob that
$80
requires...
lock?
It's a high-tech one that has a thumbprint and a pin.
All man.
Tired of my siblings. Tired of my siblings coming in here and taking my shit.
Tired of them going in there drawing dick pictures on your computer too?
That too.
Really? They go in your room and take your shit? That would actually piss me the fuck off. I don't like
Like
when people...
my sodas, my snacks.
What? Hell nah.
Yeah, yeah.
The cash outline is
I
insane.
didn't expect to get in a group so quick, and now they're all just standing there waiting for me.
Groups be popping. Please don't gank me.
I should level from this.
I'm in Omega fucking gank territory. Fellwood, man. Look at this fucker trying to chase me right now. You fucking bitch. I have to run through here, though. I have no choice. I'm about to get ganked by a rogue. Here comes... Oh! He's level 62. You fucking scum rat. Yeah, stay over there. Oh, no, he's 53. Yeah, you better hearth away, you little bitch. Actually, I could fucking destroy him. But, fuck it. I could get a songflower while I'm here. You ever get those?
No.
Oh, they're great. Well, I wonder if one's right over here. Up in 20 seconds? Am I reading that right? It's a great world buff.
Oh, I'm not the last one there. Cool.
Oh, it's... Oh, what the fuck? It's not up. 3, 2, 1. Layer 3. I'm on layer 4. Oh, fuck.
I got lucky questing in 1,000 Needles and got 2 blue drops off of mobs. One's in the auction house right now for 30 gold. And the other one sold today for 15
I found one
gold.
for 100 gold. I'm trying to remember what it was.
And if no one buys the ring, I'll just fucking keep it and wear it.
I heard it's a little bit harder to make gold on Dream Scythe compared to Night Slayer.
It's not bad.
There's more bots on Night Slayer for some reason. I'm not sure why. I guess PvP servers in general just are more populated. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a drop that drops off of the mobs called Mantle of Thieves. It's a shoulders and it.
Oh, yep. That thing goes for a lot. A
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, but it's good luck on. It's a very rare drop. If you get that, I wouldn't even wear it. I would sell it, even though it's really good for you. It is. It's a huge upgrade, but eventually dude. You could just use that as your mount fund. Like that thing, that'll pay for your mount.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that thing's worth over 100 gold easy. And as inflation keeps climbing because of bot activity, it'll only go up and up and up and up on items like that. Anyway, no more sassy from me. You were bitter?
Enhancement shamans, are they like tanks in this as a two-handed or
Nah.
the dude?
No, it's not like SOD. It's normal.
So they
They're
do
not-
serious damage.
Not as much as SOD. SOD they did way more damage. They were broken. Everything's broken in Season of Discovery, but
You hear they're coming out with phase 8?
yeah, they're
Oh, I
on
saw that.
Nax. They're on Nax now.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it's the final phase. I don't see the point of playing it, personally. Apparently now, you know what's annoying? Every rune in the game is buyable for like 1 copper at some fucking random vendor in the starting zone. Like when you make a new dude. It's like all
What?
that hard work that we did to get those runes. Like the fucking crazy one for Paladin and Warlock and...
Just now get him in the beginning?
They give you every rune. They just give them to you.
What the fuck?
For 1 copper. Every fucking rune in the whole game. Yeah. I'm like, that's fucking retarded. Season of Discovery, huh? You didn't really
Kidding
discover...
me.
No, that's not really... Oh, you discovered a vendor that's just there? It's so dumb. It's literally... It's retail. I don't like that. So one of the things that draws me personally to like Classic is like going out in the world and discovering shit. You know? Doing hard quests, stuff like that. Not just fucking sit in a simulator, have a vendor that you can just buy everything from and sit in the city and just queue up for whatever. If I want to do that, I'll go play retail. That's what retail is. Retail is literally that. You just sit in the city. You don't fucking move around. Don't need to. You can get literally anything from the auction house. You go to the vendor, buy everything from a vendor that's right there in town, and you just fucking chill there. Queue up for whatever you want to queue up for. Dungeons, battlegrounds, PvP, arena, raids. You don't have to go to anything. You just sit there.
Yep.
And then they started
Well,
doing that
I'm
shit
aware.
in Season of Discovery, which makes no sense. Hence the name Season of Discovery. What are you discovering? A vendor? Like, I don't know. Anyways, that's my rant. That's why I like playing this shit. Plus, you know me, I like the world PvP, it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you into it, man. I am. I think you'll enjoy it more if we were like together, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to see if we could do that AV grind together. I just gotta get you to 51, I think. I think you need to be 51 to queue up for it. I got dudes to kill up here? What fucking quest is that? Wait, what? The strength of corruption. Barrel us. Bellwood. Huh. Well, I could kill these things here.
I can't cast that yet.
Oh my big damn. So what professions did you end up with?
On this hunter, I'm skinning and leatherworking.
I wonder how much Devil Sword leather goes for on your server. Next time you go to the auction house, you should look it up. I'm actually curious.
Okay.
I need mana.
Wait, what? The food's level is not high enough for your pet? What? That doesn't make sense. Oh my god. That's the line? That's crazy. What the fuck?
What?
So she has like this long cash out line she has to wait. They have way more servers than us. I don't know if you've ever been to the boathouse in Disney Springs.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
So you know how big it is. They can sit over 600 people in that place, like comfortably.
Yeah.
So, bro, are you really gonna gank me? Come on, fuck off. Anyway, so they have like 20 servers or some shit, or 30. I forget what she said.
It's still recharging.
And they have to do what's called a cash out line at the end, and they have to wait to get cashed out. So they figure out their kind of like getting readings, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But they're like champs. They get paid every 2 weeks if they have credit cards tips.
I can't
Oh, really?
So, but she said the paychecks are ridiculously fat, like thousands of dollars.
That's crazy.
Like she said, if she's not making at least $2,500, like $3,000 every 2 weeks or every paycheck, she's not happy. And that's a bad paycheck, apparently. Fucking crazy, dude. On the low end, she makes $6,000 a month on the low end. High end, it's anywhere from 8 to 10.
Damn.
Like, it's like, bro, that when I hear stuff like that, it's like it's very hard to stay with Outback, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never make that with Outback. Never. Our food is not like their cheapest steak is $38. That's their cheapest steak. They have an 11-ounce fillet that's like $70.
I'm aware.
Fucking crazy. Alright, time to die. A lot.
That spell is ready yet.
Oh, actually, you know what? I could probably live this. They're 53. It's not too bad. I can kill them. I'm 53.
It's still recharging. That spell is ready yet.
Under maw hold rep.
I can't cast that yet. It's still recharging. I can't cast that yet.
Oh, fuck. I'm almost out of water. You work tomorrow?
No, I'm off the next 2.
Yeah. What days do you mainly key then?
It varies.
It's not consistent? Yeah, mine hasn't been consistent either. It's been changing a lot actually.
I've had Sundays a lot lately.
Yeah, it's been back and forth on that for me.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday mostly. So like this week, I key Friday night, Saturday double key, Sunday 1 o'clock key.
Wait, they got me keying Saturday too. We're both keying on Saturday? Again?
Yeah. Things just run more smoothly.
Yeah, definitely was easier.
Yeah.
But we also didn't have that night like we did that one fucking night.
Oh god.
That you weren't even there for. It was so bad. So fucking bad. I'm gonna be off, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday on the 22nd, so you'll probably be working.
Live.
Ooh.
Where are you
Going
going?
Universal, baby. Much fucking needed vacation time.
Nice.
Much fucking needed. Yeah, I got between my IRS check and what else did I get? IRS check and something. Oh, I got my so when I was doing trucking, you have what's called a what the fuck is it called? Why am I having a fucking brain fart right now?
It's still recharging.
You pay like into like, what the fuck is it called? Dude, I'm having the biggest brain rot fraught. I don't even know. I'm getting old.
I can't cast that yet.
Dude, this is actually bugging me. What the fuck is that shit called? Bond. Okay, bond. You pay up into a bond. What that is it's a way of protecting yourself, in case, you get into an accident when you have a camper on your hitch. So the bond steps in and pays for the initial damage, and then whatever's like extra beyond that, if it's like if it's higher than your bond, which your bond is $1,500, Indiana just takes care of the rest, or whoever, you know, their insurance takes care of the rest. So,
It's still recharging.
anyways, when you de-lease from a trucking company that has a system like that, as long as you had a good record after 45 days after deleasing, you get your bond back. And I got it back, and that was $1,500, and then I just got my all right, fuck that. I'm not fighting all that. Y'all can lick taint. Oh fuck, I'm so dead. Fuck, Bobby, help! Bobby, help me! I'm gonna die! Run, run, Ruda.
We might wipe right now.
Oh, 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 oh. I don't know how I'm alive. Oh, I'm a gangster. Oh, no! Nope.
Charging.
Haha, later, bitch. Oh, I'm dead here, though. Yup. Yup. No, Bobby, help me. Oh my god. I don't have Fang Death yet. Please. Oh, oh, oh. You lived? No way. Oh, I'm dead here. Oh. God dang it, man.
That spell isn't ready yet.
I'm dead. Oh, I have 1% health. Oh my god, I lived. Oh. Heart's racing. Imagine if that was hardcore. I would have never. Oh my god, that would have been clip of the century. Oh, my pet died though. Poor pet. Ooh, I can make heavy runecloth bandages now. Are you jealous? That's the
Nah,
best.
I'm on heavy silk.
That's the best bandage in the game.
getting
2,000
up there.
damage over 8 seconds.
Where would you like to fly to?
I've got my leather working up today.
Yeah, you might as well keep it. If you plan on playing TBC, or that's what you want. You want leatherworking and you want skinning. It's the best.
Well, my skinning right now is at 234 out of 300.
Oh, skinning's super easy to level. It's like the
And
easiest.
then my leather working's at 220 out of 225.
Yeah, it's so easy to level. I think that's the easiest crafting profession to level too is leatherworking. It's because
Fun.
skinning's so easy to level. There's so much mobs you have to kill that are fucking animals that.
Especially in the Barrens.
Fuck everywhere.
1,000 needles.
Yep.
I just did the goblins in that little canyon with all the salt, where the lake used to be, killing all the turtles, scorpions, and shit. I fucking skinned
Yep.
everything.
Yep. All right, we turned in that fucking quest. Now I can get that other quest that I want. Gotta wait 8 minutes for my hearth. And that's what we're gonna do, bitch.
Well,
Found a
this
really
tank
good form.
bowler.
Oh, I got kicked out of my Diablo game. My barbarian is so sick. Haha, lady bitch. Ooh, hello. Grand scepter worth 25,000. Ooh, another one. Attack rating extra gold from alright. Okay.
I can't.
You can't. You can. The Far Oasis. No, we're going backwards. Oh my god. I know for a fact if you were to play this mod, you would fall in love with it. It's so good. So good. Fence dexterity, we drop that on the ground. We don't need that. Claw Viper Temple, just one-shotting everything. They buffed melee in this mod too, so like, you know how melee and D2R kind of sucks? Attack rating is like, you can never hit 100% attack rating. You can actually hit 100% attack rating in this, so you don't miss. Also, all melee damage in this entire game has small splash damage, so you have small little AoE automatically from all melee hits.
Nice.
So it makes it to where melee is just a lot more because you know how in D2R like casters are just better, like straight up. Every like S tier build is just way better than melee, no matter what.
Yeah.
Well, not like that in this game. Melee stand like toe to toe. Ooh, 3 life stolen per hit. High res. It's not bad, but we don't need it. Ooh, AED. Ooh. That is not bad, sir. Might put that on the fucking, I know exactly where I'm gonna put that, actually. Ooh, ED, poison damage. Oh, shit. Yeah, Aurora, you damn right you will. Oh. BRB.
Yeah.
Hello. Huh? Oh, your face isn't. That's fine. She can lick your tongue. Well, mainly just drink there. Actually, either. More so like shrimp and salmon. I don't think I've ever had it before. So, I don't. It's sushi is it's slowly growing on me. I don't like raw sushi. There's some weird shit. So I don't want to say like yes to that. I don't know because it's all different. Yeah, we have seared rare ahi tuna. There's seared pepper ahi tuna that we serve. I like them. I will be in nice-ish. Probably something similar to what I wore out for 8 on 20. What was that? Is that good? Whatever, like something similar to what I wore to Makoto's. I'm fine. It's been a very frustrating day. So we have. Oh, go ahead. I saw the video you said online that you read. That's crazy. So wait, how does a cash out work?
What is that? Like, are y'all get readings? Yeah, we call them readings. But yeah. Oh, that's gross. You get paid during that time? Well, I don't know. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Well, my sales were almost 2,300 for the day, and I barely paid. I didn't even make $300. So I'm pissed off about that. Usually when I'm making that much sales, I'm making at least 350. Yeah. So yeah, somewhere around that. So I'm not sure what the fuck happened with all that. I think that I got screwed over by the 20 top that I had to take at the very end before I had to leave. So we have to share those. We can never take them by ourselves, even though I totally could have had one. Well, they forced me to, and I was not happy about it. They, one of their best, if not their best. Like, yeah. I'm not trying to like toot my own horn or talk shit. It just literally, there's a reason why I get usually the best shifts. Like I pretty much kind of sort of get right. But anyways, so had to split it, and I guess they just did. Their bill wasn't very high for 20 top. It was only like $400. And but our tip was ridiculous. Like, so we tipped out 27 and change, and our total tips for the party was around $72 and change, and we kind of split that. So I made like $30, $32, and I took out 27. Like, what the fuck? That's insane. Yeah, well, it was all figured out. It was, yeah. It's, you have to add up the. It's stupid. You have to combine the checks, and then you have to do the tip out, and then divide it by 2, and then whatever that is, I have to give her half. So yeah, so she's technically quote unquote tipping up to it again. I think it was done wrong though. I don't know, but whatever. No, it doesn't. Like, there's no way I'm making like the same. Like, I'm tipping out. Even if so, yeah, right. So this is how I'm looking at it. Even let's say I didn't share that party, like they're making everyone's my essays and my posts are making half of what I made on that table. Like that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound like 6%. That sounds like fucking 50%. Yeah, that doesn't make sense at all. What is 6% of 72? Like, 72 and change, but let's just say 72. It would be times 0.06. That's $4.32. I don't know. Oh! Because it's based off the sale. I'm retarded. Okay. So 400. Yeah, that's probably right. Times 0.06. Yeah. See, that's bullshit, man. It's stupid. I hate that. I hate that we have to tip out on our sale. So they made $27 off that, and they didn't do anything! And it pisses me off because they actually did not do anything. I ran all my shit to my table. Everything. And I set up the fucking table. The host didn't even set up the table. I set it up. Nothing on that. Fucking bullshit. Anyways, that's good. See, yeah, our blusters are awesome. I like our blusters, but I don't know. Yeah, fucking. So we have what's called server assistants. We have busters, server assistants, and hosts. Hosts obviously hosts, set up tables, set up, reset up, all that stuff. Busters pay the table. Well, the server assistants are the ones that are supposed to run your drinks and your food. Well, my shit just wasn't getting ran all fucking day long. We have a new SA, he's a nice guy and all, sweet kid. Fucking stupid as fucking, he's just slow. He moves like a snail. It's like, bro, literally move your fucking ass. Move. Have some pep in your step. He carries like one drink at a time. It's like, oh my god. It takes him, like, food gets cold in the window because it takes him fucking 15 minutes to expo one tray. Like, bro, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, oh. See, I don't know, babe. I would like to definitely make one thing. Especially as I eat, yeah, it's like dealing with a bunch of fucking crybabies. Where you at now? I'm so glad you're a server and we can like relate this. Because anyone else would just think that we're bitching for like stupid reasons, but like you don't understand. Like go work in the restaurant industry for like a year or two, and then like you know what I mean? Like you'll get it.
Oh, what? No, what? Oh, okay.
Stay paid sexually, stay paid work-wise. What were you thinking? You could see. Oh. Yeah. Where's the one that you mess around with? You guys don't play around? When are you supposed to play with this Alex chick again? Not like that. Not like anything's gonna happen anyway. Oh, plan. Speaking of which, still talking to those chicks on Facebook dating? Progress with that? Yeah. They ain't got it dirty yet? Getting close to that? Me? Is this coming from you? You're a cornball. Yeah, well, we're both cornballs. I like cornball. Go inside, go get relaxed, get out of here. Wind down, whatever you gotta do. Shower, bath. Oh, yeah. I got lucky on my, not this last apartment, but the apartment I had before. I had a giant fucking bathtub. Like, I could actually fit in it with another person and fully lay down. It was crazy. But I don't know. Those are like work. I'll try that. Well, at least text me. Or being a dirty and you know what to do. Alright, I bet. My fucking nose. Oh my god, I can't breathe. I think I broke my elbow. I'm gonna cry. I don't know what I did. I feel like I have like elbow tendonitis or some shit like that. Is that old man shit?
Yes.
Listen, Bobby, you're supposed to be my friend. You're supposed to say, "Oh no, dude, you know you're good," you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say is that old man shit? Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
No, man. No, you're good.
You know, it would have been more funny if you doubled down and just was like, "Yes." Oh, hopefully that ache and pain is gone by tomorrow. Ooh, hello. I hope Singer Barb is good, because that's what I'm going to be playing. Use the Naj Puzzler set. Teleport around and... Hoo-ha, hoo-ha. You know what my Barb's name is on here?
But you're gonna tell me.
I yell a lot. Get it?
Yup.
Because he's a shout Barb. And he yells a lot.
I had no idea.
Bah.
It's so stupid.
Oh, a buckler. It's green. I forget what that is. That is Horus's Iron Fist. I already have that. Cool. What you should do is when you start getting, because I know you're like me, you get bored of games after a while. When you start getting bored of WoW again, you should definitely download this mob. And then you're gonna be fucking addicted. Where the fuck is this place at?
Alright, Bubba. I'm going to bed.
Alright, bro. I
I'm
will
tired.
be on tomorrow
Do you work tomorrow?
night. Yeah, I close the next 2 days, but
Alright, sounds good.
I'll be on.
Alright, bet. Bye.
Later. Did this bitch level up? She did. Good job, bitch.
I've been. Yes.
Yes. Help me. Oh, let me tell you. Oh, fuck. Fucking hearth now.
I can't use that item yet.
Excellent. When the troubles I have heard.
Oh, fuck. I should have.
I can't.
Dude, what? I've never seen a map layout like this. This is so shit. What is this map layout?
One could get lost in here.
$23, $22, so $22, right? Should just start fucking putting 1.1ers all the way down here, actually. Battle cry is good too. Should we go ahead and start? Fuck it. What the fuck?
seeker. You must. I hope that. Good day.
Blessings to you.
I'll put that to good use. I'll put that to good use. I'll put that to good use.
This is better.
I'll put that to good use. I'll put that to good use. I'll put that to good use.
Could make an insight out of that. Should I make an insight out of that? No. I have an insight in this. That's 48. Alcothol F Foul. Almost perfect on the ED. That thing is nasty. I'm not benefiting at all from her right now.
Greetings.
Yeah, I'm not really benefiting. This should be more damage, theoretically.
Impossible.
Ugh. Wait, what? It changed?
Greetings, I think.
It is an honor to serve you.
Greetings. You have done. Greetings, Chairman. Good to see you.
Greeting. Welcome.
You.
Hello there. Good day.
Prayer, holy shock, cleansing.
Good day.
PD2, Merc, Binary, tier list.
Daredevil Born Again, and now streaming for a limited time. Get Disney Plus and Hulu for just $2.99 a month for 4 months.
Turn your pastime into your full-time. Your personal style into your signature brand. Do it yourself on Wix.
Hey guys, Dark Humility here. You can always catch me at twitch.tv/Dark Humility for 6 to 7 days of Diablo action. Today, we're going to go into my final starter new beginner guide for Season 8 Project Diablo 2, about 4 to 5 days after launch. This is a follow-up to the Season 8 tier list video, which is what this is a part of. Of course, which you can access in the first comment of this video and elsewhere, and a follow-up also to the starter video I made about how to optimize your farming strategies and how to strat out farming for each of the starter builds in my tier list. Of course, we'll also have timestamps in this video for each of the classes, so you can refer to where we discuss the builds. But this video is about mercenaries. That's right, it's about mercenaries, starter, and what you want to merge into the end game for each of the starter builds. I could make a video like this about every single possible build that is on the tier list, describing all of the different strats for all of those characters for the earlier end game. But I decided to mostly focus on the early game, as I feel like a lot of people can benefit from more knowledge about these builds to get them going, considering probably most people are not even in the end game yet. Obviously, there's plenty that are, but most probably are not. So yeah, there is that. There is that. These builds, one thing I should mention is that we actually have more starter builds listed than in my previous video. That is in response to, I think, some people commenting about maybe there being other starters that aren't being listed, and maybe in some cases some being better in certain situations. So I decided to actually include even more in this video and just include them on the tier list in general. To be a bit more thorough, I tried to have like the top 5 for each one, but I think maybe it helps out some people to know that there are in fact more options than were discussed in the last video in terms of just starters in general. So that is what we're going to do. Alright, so yeah, people just keep asking me about mercenaries, always wondering like, what do I do? Like, what mercenary do I do for this build? What mercenary do I do for that build? At this point in the game, at that point in the game. That is what this is about. There's so many mercenaries in Project Diablo 2. Obviously, there's one type for each act. You can even hire from material in Project Diablo 2, making it to 5 act mercenaries, and of course with subtypes switching within each type or mercenary as well. 3 subtypes for Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, 2 subtypes for Act 4 and Act 5 apiece, making for a grand total of 13 mercenary types on top of strategies for like starter weapons on the mercenaries and whatnot, and weapons just in general to optimize the use of said mercenaries. So that is what we're all going to go to, that's what we're all going to discuss here in this video. Alright, let's get into the Sork. So we have the Cole build. The Cole builds, starting out on a Cole build, there is one option to increase your damage, but for the most part, very early game, there are none until you actually get some kind of items. So what you're going to want to do is you're either going to want to go for mana regen from Insight on an Act 2 mercenary, just to beef up your character with a Defiance aura, so Act 2 Defiance mercenary. That's what you're going to want to do in the very early game, or you want to do an Act 3 mercenary such as a Cleansing Fire or a Prayer Cold, because those mercenaries just do a ton of damage early game, and those defensive auras also help you out as well. So in general, sustain, damage, survivability, that's kind of what you typically want to go for on most Sork builds in general. That would also go for Combustion, Fireball, and Firewall, by the way. However, for all 5 of these builds, Combustion, Fireball, Firewall, and all of the cold builds on the Sork, while all those approaches that I just mentioned work very well, if you happen to acquire a Pus Spitter, you can put that on an Act 1 mercenary, and you can still access Lower Resist. Lower Resist is your best way to get more damage in the early game. without having to invest in an infinity. And so you put that on an Act 1 mercenary, particularly on a slow missiles mercenary, and that strafe will be very reliable in proccing the lower resist. It has very good AoE, has great spread, the strafe slow missiles mercenary. You don't need vigor because you have teleport on a Sorc at all, and you can just jump around and you can crush with it. It's really, really solid. My personal favorite approach to getting that damage early on. Keep in mind though that the frontline potential though of the Act 2 mercenaries might be better though. One thing that kind of sets Act 2 approaches apart just in terms of it just really helps your survivability a lot. So it really, really helps to shore up that survivability because you actually have a real front line in front of you instead of just something that can also take damage just like you that also has to attack from afar. So do keep that in mind. That the Act 1 and Act 3 mercenaries aren't as good at soaking up damage, so they might need a lot of DR gear early on in order to accomplish the same effect and to take advantage of that extra damage.
With QuickBooks Solopreneur, keep your finances organized year-round. Move from books to taxes seamlessly with visibility into potential deductions so your one-person business is always ready for tax time. Sign up for QuickBooks Solopreneur.
It was the worst when I had a schizophrenia breakdown in Washington, D.C. I was running around for 3 days. I was lost in the subway. I was scared. I envisioned crowds yelling and screaming, wanting to get me. I saw my deceased father on the platform and heard his voice. I looked for him, but I couldn't find him. The train took me to the very last stop, and a police officer tried to help me. I was really out of it, and they ended up taking me in. I wanted help. I needed help. I just wasn't getting the right treatment at first. People weren't listening.
Alright, so with Chain Lightning, Lightning, and Meteor though, you have some other options early game as well. So Chain Lightning, Lightning also has the Act 3 Static Mercenary. Now you can also cast it yourself as a Lightning Chain Lightning Sword. However, if you have the Merc casting it for you, you can just focus on attacking. And if you telestomp right on top of monsters, you're typically going to get a lot of negative enemy lightning resist from the static field, and that's really good. So that's like an additional option that Chain Lightning Lightning has, but it still has the same option of the lower resist Merc as well in the early game. On the Act 1 Mercenary Meteor, same thing. Still has that lower resist Merc option for damage, and still has all those more defensive or the Act 3 damage options. However, Meteor has a physical component to its damage, which means it can also benefit from amplify damage procs. So things like Wild Witch Rainbow on Act 1 Mercenary become really good, or even just the Act 4 Mercenary, which procs amplify damage automatically, the Act 4 Dark Mercenary. So that's a really solid approach as well. Now, one thing to mention is that in the late game, on practically all of these builds, you're going to use, well, on all of these builds, except for Nova, which isn't really a starter build in my mind. You can do that. It's not listed here. Nova would just go Storm Spire on your Merc because you could use an Infinity Staff in hand. However, for the rest of them, you go Infinity on the Mercenary. However, on Meteor, you don't go Infinity on an Act 2 Mercenary like you would do with the rest. The rest are Infinity Defiance Mercenary. That is just the best approach. However, on Meteor, Meteor has physical damage once again. So one thing you can do is you can actually get an Amplify Damage Act 4 Merc in the late game and equip him with an Infinity Staff. And then you get the best of both worlds, negative enemy fire res and a negative enemy physical res, for a double dipping into damage amplification for that skill. For all fire physical hybrid builds, by the way, as we go along, you'll see a very similar theme where that works for all of them. So really good stuff. I'm pretty sure that's pretty much it for the Sorc though. And hopefully you guys learned quite a bit about how to start and how to transition into better and better mercenaries. So What about optimal mercenaries for druid builds that you'd want to start out with? What about the basic mercenary options for the druid? Summon Druid has a lot of choices in their very early game. So let's talk about the very early game before you acquire any items. Before you acquire any items, you're definitely looking at damage or just more responsiveness of summons. So Vigor Aura on an Act 1 Mercenary, which is a possible, or if you're a Fire Arrow Mercenary, that one does a lot of gives your mercenary a lot of movement speed, which makes them a lot more responsive. So the summons become a lot more responsive. They start attacking more often, and in general, they're just a lot stronger because they're able to attack more things. Might Aura on an Act 5 mercenary boosts your wolves and your bears. And Act 5 mercenary with Whirlwind with battle orders will make them all a lot more tanky. And will also cast Battle Cry, lowering physical resistance of the monsters, amplifying the damage of all of your summons. I would say all of those are pretty valid approaches. However, one thing to note is that anything that can proc amplify damage will boost the damage of all your summons, and that's kind of what you want to transition as the game progresses. So you're going to want to get a Wild Witch String Bow onto a Vigor Aura Mercenary ASAP to boost both the responsiveness of your summons and to crazily boost their damage from the amplified damage. That is a very solid approach, and that will lead to maximum damage from there on out. So Wild Witch String Bow, very good. Wrath on that mercenary will be your endgame choice, and that's typically what you want to do. Of course, you can also go for an Act 4 Dark Mercenary with Amp early on, as well as another early source of Amp if that is what you also want to do. But the bow approaches in general are very reliable. Strafe even more so than the bigger Fire Arrow, but even that one procs it very reliably while also giving your summons that much needed wake up call. It makes them a lot more quicker after you teleport with Gust to actually attack things. It's very, very important.
Gary, go long! I got it, Coach! I got it! Getting your greens shouldn't make a mess. Meet Groons, a daily pack of 8 delicious gummies filled with all the essential vitamins, minerals, and superfoods you need to thrive.
But don't I need like over 60 essential nutrients? Vitamin C, D, zinc, copper. Oh God, it's so much.
Janet, my little superstar. Groons has all of that. And from whole food ingredients you can actually read, not some crazy chemical compound.
Organic spinach.
I can read it! Heck yeah, you can, buff boy! Bring it in, you two. Groons is packed with the 8 MVCs you need to feel better every day. Whole fruits, whole veggies, vitamins and minerals, herbs, antioxidants, prebiotics, and it's even got your full dose of mood-boosting adaptogens and super mushrooms, which could help with that anxiety I'm picking up, bud. Plus, they're an adorable, snackable, bite-sized treat you can take on the go. They're basically fruit snacks with benefits without the fillers. Like your childhood gummies grew up and got a real job.
And these are vegan too, right? I don't like to hurt animals.
Interesting.
Wind Druid is also a physical damage build, however it does not necessarily rely as much on summons, even though it can have summons to protect you and your mercenary, which does
pissing me off.
affect the kinds of mercenaries that are effective. The reason why Act 1 and Act 4 can be effective on a summon druid is because they have a lot of meat shields, right? Kind of similar kind of case with Wind here and even Fire here as well. So what you're going to want to do with Wind is you want amplify damage, period. Unlike with this, where damage auras can definitely improve the power of a lot of your summons, they will do absolutely nothing here. So you're really just looking for amplify damage on a Wind Druid. So we're looking at very early game, Act 4, cast amp with the Dark Act 4 Mercenary. So that's going to go very early game. Once you get a Witch Wild String Bow, you're going to transition to Wildwood String Bow on an Act 1 Mercenary, and then you're going to transition to Wrath once you can afford the runes, and that's extremely reliable, and it's even stronger. You don't need Vigor on this one because you don't need your summons to do damage, so you just go with slow missiles, strafe, physical damage, Mercenary, and that's going to be your best shot for proccing that amplified damage and min-maxing that damage. That's pretty much the best approaches on that period. However, alternatively, you can also get in Reaper's Toll, and you can also go in Act 2 Mercenary with Reaper's Toll, which is a very classic approach that is also highly effective on this particular build. So you'll find that to be a very, very solid approach, and I totally recommend it. You could do it. It helps Tornado. The only problem is the AoE isn't as high as the Strafe Bow approach, which typically has a lot more spread as well, which is why with Twister, typically you want those bow approaches, but you don't have to. You can also just rely on tele-stomping with Amp, but like I said, it's not quite as effective as getting that Amp on them often before you gust into the monsters themselves. So, good stuff, good stuff. Now in Act 3 Mercenary, once again, we have a fire physical hybrid build like the Meteor Sword. So this one is going to be very similar. The Act 4 Mercenary, in the endgame with Infinity Staff and Amplify Damage Cast, the dark version of the Mercenary, not the light one, the dark one, that is going to be your target on this build. That is going to be your best shot, period. That's just how it goes. It's just your best shot, period, on that build. That's what you're gonna want to do. Which means in the early game, you could benefit from both fire and lower res, or amp and lower res, potentially because you have both types of damage on most of these skills. So, as long as you're actually using not just Fissure, but using multiple Armageddon and Volcano. You can get Witchwild String Bow, you can get Pus Spitter, those will all help out with the damage. You can get Act 4 Mercenary very early on to cast Amp, and then obviously once you can get both Amp and lower fire res from the Conviction Aura, that's going to be the dream on that particular build.
I took a chance and started my own business. I have the tools to connect with my customers, manage my orders, and share my craft. My business is growing, and Microsoft...
So, Wolf Rabies. Alright, so Rabies, this is a poison build. So poison builds, they can't benefit from Conviction Aura. They can't benefit from it at all. It only lowers res to fire, lightning, and cold. They can benefit from lower resist, which does all 4 resistances though, including now poison on top of that. So, Pus Spitter is the damage option for both early and late game, if you can get it. If you don't yet have Pus Spitter though, you can use a Vigor or a Mercenary just to run faster around, maybe like cows early on, and just hit more cow packs, be super fast with both Feral Rage and Vigor, and just run around and kill things. And at that point, it doesn't really matter what kind of Mercenary you actually, what the weapon you actually give the Mercenary is. The point is that the Merc can survive, it has DR, and you just run around with Vigor and tag your the cows, and they die to Rabies. Once you get that lower resist though, it's going to be really big, lower resist on the Act 1 Merc. You can stick with Vigor for the faster speed, but since you already have Feral Rage, it definitely could consider getting that more reliable low resist proc somewhat from the Strafe physical, which also gives you survivability from the slow missiles as well. Of course, early on you can also go with just high survivability approaches such as Defiance Aura, Cleansing, or Prayer Mercenaries early on as well. Which is always a good option before you get some of those damage boosting options, such as those auras and curses that really make the big difference on this particular build. So in the late game, Pus Spitter still on the Act 1 Mercenary with slow missiles, slowing all the monsters down, making them ripe for the picking for Rabies to just cut them all down. It's pretty beautiful stuff, or Vigor Aura as well, and yeah, that's pretty much what you want to do. Shockwave. So this is a physical casting skill, very similar to Wind Druid in how it operates. You're going to want pretty much the same options here. So you're going to want to get the amplify damage proc as soon as possible if you can. So something like the Act 4 Dark Mercenary that casts Amp early on. And then you're also going to want to transition to Witch Wild, Stringbow, and then to Wrath in the late game on an Act 1 Mercenary. And here, Vigor Aura is very nice because your movement is often a problem on this build. But you can also go Slow Missiles as well for the slightly more reliable procs. Either way, Vigor keeps up very well as well, and will also proc it very often, which is really good. One thing to note is on all of these physical damage builds, you can also go other things that proc amp, like Cranium Basher on an Act 5 Mercenary, Bile Husk as well for summon. Bile Husk, you know, Mercenary with Might Act 5, for instance, will help out your summons and will proc amp. Just keep in mind the most reliable amp procs in the game are the Act 1 approaches, the bows that shoot through, that penetrate through entire packs of monsters instantly, pretty much guaranteeing a very quick amp proc. So there's a lot of amp procs in the game, but there's quicker ones and there's slower ones, so that's very important to distinguish. But there's always some of these other options, so I just wanted to kind of briefly mention that there. You also, of course, have the Assassin. So the Assassin is got some pretty cool options. Obviously, with Lightning, we have some of the same options as for the Lightning Sork. So we have that Pus Spitter on the Act 1 Mercenary. Here, Vigor Aura can make sense though, because you can run faster, but you do have Burst of Speed. However, and you do have a Shadow, so you can kind of protect those squishier mercenaries to some extent. That is important to know. You can also go Act 3 Mercenary for the static field as well, and you can remain safe on traps and move past the enemies and kill them with traps. Alright, Wake of Fire, same thing. You have the oh yeah, I forgot to mention, of course, in the late game, for Chain Lightning, Lightning Sentry, it is definitely the Infinity Act 2 Defiance Mercenary. It's definitely going to be the most reliable way to proc that negative enemy lightning res, no matter what. Wake of Fire, same thing, Infinity on an Act 2 Mercenary in the late game. However, once again, Pus Spitter on an Act 1 Mercenary for that lower enemy fire res. Very key stuff. You're also going to want to consider some of the more defensive approaches as well, especially if your mercenary has trouble surviving, as you kind of typically do pass beyond monsters on Wake of Fire. You just cast a trap and kind of push into the monsters. Even early game, it's not a bad approach. So you might want to consider things like an Act 3 Mercenary as well, just for more damage and other types of survivability, or an Act 2 Mercenary for the Defiance Aura early on, and maybe if you're struggling with mana, it might help to have Insight as well, which is, you know, something I mentioned for all of the Sork builds as well. Insight, Defiance early on. The classic LOD approach is still very solid, and it also provides you with that frontline. So frontline, one of the things about the Act 2 Mercenary is that it is a very reliable frontline. Act 3, Act 1, and Act 4 Mercenaries require a lot of DR just to survive, and they don't step out in front of you to take damage. They don't go out of their way to take and soak up damage. So at that point, you have Act 2 and Act 5 Mercenaries that are good at soaking up damage. Act 5 does have a somewhat defensive approach with battle orders, but if you need mana regen, you're not going to get that from that mercenary. So it's the Act 2 Merc, the Tried and True, is still often very good for those defensive sustain approaches, absolutely. Mind Blast, Psychic Hammer. Alright, so this is a pure physical damage build, once again in Season 8, except for the fact Psychic Hammer can be used against physical immunes, but that's basically it.
We're Tire Rack. We test tires to provide you with truth, transparency, and unbiased recommendations. We stock over 1 million tires to ensure we have what you need. We're Tire Rack. We work hard to ship your tires fast and free. We offer convenient installation options to keep you moving forward.
Okay, so not bad, pretty solid, good stuff. So Mind Blast is just like wind in how it operates. Mind Blast just like crushes with Wild Witch String Bow, no problem whatsoever. Early game, of course. Before that, once again, the Act 4 Mercenary Dark version can cast Amp for you. That's going to be the best source of damage. And then, of course, in the late game, you're going to want to merge into Wrath Bow or an Act 1 Mercenary, and then that is like the ideal transition period. And that's how you're going to min-max your damage on a Mind Blast Assassin. Keep in mind on this build, probably don't need Vigor Aura, you probably just want the Slow Missiles one, which will slow down the monsters and make them absolutely vulnerable to just getting absolutely wrecked by Mind Blast, and it's gonna crush. So Slow Missiles, Strafe, Amp Bows, and then before that, Act 4 Mercenary with Amp. Casting Amp is really key. Alright, so for all of these martial, or in the case of Blade Sentinel, physical trap builds, all of these builds have to actually strike the enemies, so they require attack rating to really do a good job here. Of course, Blade Sentinel also benefits from Deadly Strike and also benefits from any of those procs like Crushing Blow as well, so all those on-hit modifiers. So, Blessed Aim on the Act 2 Mercenary early game, if you're struggling with AR, you don't have Angelics, you don't want to wear Angelics because it interferes with damage on your build, and usually it does, because, you know, plus martial skills or something else is often better, you know, maybe High Lords, you know, whatever. Blade Sentinel, right, that stuff's going to be better. So, typically, attack rating can be an issue on these builds sometimes, and one thing that solves it very easily in the early game is Blessed Aim. Blessed Aim Act 2 solves it, you can hit the monsters no problem, and this is what really allows starting out on these builds. And then of course it could just be an Insight, an Obedience, you can use with that as well, and overall they can be very solid approaches. Now, in the late game, and as you transition, of course, to damage approaches, it's a little bit different. So Blade Sentinel, your damage approaches are going to be Act 4 for casting Amp, and then of course into the bows, the old tried and true at this point, you've heard it many times, Wild Witch String Bow, and into Wrath Bow for casting that Amp on Act 1 Mercenary consistently. Those are your best approaches for sure, bar none. I mean, you can always go something like an Act 5 Merc, you know, you can put on a Cyclopean Roar for the negative enemy physical res as well as it passes through monsters, but it's not quite as consistent. It's just not going to be as consistent, and something like this is always going to be a step ahead. So that's going to be like your more late game approaches on Blade Sentinel. You're going to want the Amp proc on the Mercenary because getting it on yourself, it ain't happening. Cobra Strike though. Cobra Strike is the poison approach. So poison approach on Cobra Strike. Get that lower resist off that Mercenary as well. So it's a poison build. This means that Pus Spitter is going to be a main option on the Act 1 Mercenary. You're going to want that Pus Spitter, and you're going to want it as soon as possible to get that negative enemy res, kind of like Rabies. On this one though, it's a lot easier to justify slow missiles even than Rabies, but either way, you can absolutely crush with that, and it's going to do a lot of damage. Alright, so Phoenix Strike. Phoenix Strike, it's pretty clear what's good in the late game. It has cold fire and light damage, so obviously Conviction Aura, Blessed Aim. If you're struggling, you probably shouldn't be struggling with AR though with Conviction Aura, because you lower the monster's defenses anyway with Convictions, so you're mostly looking at Defiance in the late game, Defiance, Infinity on an Act 2 Mercenary, so it's pretty standard stuff. Claws of Thunder, of course, would be the same way in the late game. However, for both of these approaches, you do a lot of lightning damage, and that's your biggest AoE. So you can even do something like Storm Spire for the consistent static field proc, or even something as cheap as Crescent Moon, which does also proc static field. Crescent Moon on the Mercenary, yeah, you could go like a Crescent Moon pull arm on an Act 2 Mercenary, and that will have a similar effect. Early game, you can also, of course, do Act 1 Mercenary with Spitter. However, you do keep in mind that you jump directly into the monsters on these builds, and even with a Shadow, those Mercenaries, unless they have a ton of DR, or they're just like really tanky in general, are probably going to get biffed. Like, they're gonna die quite a bit. So that's why like Act 2 Merc with Storm Spire is really good on these builds, because you can just jump in and do more damage and they can survive. So that's a really key part of this, of course. This is a problem often on Cobra Strike if you go for the damage on Pus Bitter. So it's important to kind of note that there is the defensive approach, and you can even get AR, of course, or Defiance from an Act 2 Mercenary as well. You can even use Plague for the lower resist on Struck on Cobra Strike if you want a more defensive approach. It might also be worth noting though, on all poison builds that jump into the monsters, things like Cobra Strike, Poison Strike, even Poison Nova to some extent, it's definitely worth considering not a damage approach, but something that is a rock, a solid pillar that will always take damage for you and not die instantly. Something like an Act 2 Mercenary, maybe with Doom. Doom with the Holy Freeze slows down all the monsters around you, also has freezes target, instantly freezing the monsters around you as you jump in, so that you don't have to worry about block animations, hit recovery animations. It pretty much just takes away a lot of that annoyance and a lot of that slowdown while also protecting you. You don't often need more negative enemy res, because once again, you don't have Conviction Aura anyway. And you often have plenty on your gear to do plenty of damage. Poison damage tends to scale very high, so that is one thing to kind of know as well for a potential option.
Here's the difference between Mudwater and Mushroom Coffee. I'm Matt, food scientist and head of R&D at Mudwater. I'd like to highlight some differences between Mudwater and Mushroom Coffee. First, Mudwater isn't mushroom coffee or coffee at all. The best high-quality coffee beans are sourced from a few regions in the world. They are minimally processed, ground down on the spot, and brewed to reduce exposure to air. A lot of wonderful...
Let's go into Barbarian builds, though.
Yeah, let's.
Alright, so Barbarian builds are kind of interesting. Some builds have easy ways to proc Amp on their own, and then some builds just mostly want Amp in general. And then other builds would really benefit from really reliable battle cry procs or aura procs. So there's quite a few things you can do on the Barbarian in general, in the early and the late game. So it really kind of depends on your approach, but there's definitely a lot of different options here. We could talk about them though. On Warcry support Barbarian. In the very beginning, you're pretty much just looking at a mercenary that can kind of survive as you jump into the monsters that leap, and you use Warcry. So oftentimes that would be an Act 2 or an Act 5 mercenary. Act 5 can get Battle Cry down for you, but since you have max battle orders in this build, you really don't benefit much from that. So that's why I typically just prefer the Act 2 mercenary with Defiance, gives you DR. Really good stuff. And then of course on top of that does give you some sustain for Warcry with the Insight. So I like that early on. But then what you want to transition into is a reliable amplify damage sword, as it is a physical caster build. Just like the Wind build, just like Shockwave, pretty similar. But this build wants to jump into the monsters ideally with Leap or even Enigma, so the Mercenary right on top of the monsters with Enigma. That's why you want Enigma in the late game, because it brings the Mercenary with you. And then the Merc will proc Amp with Reaper's Toll. Typically Reapers is the most reliable proc, and you don't need huge AoE on this build like with an Act 1 Merc, but you don't have summons anyway on this build, so Act 1 Merc's just gonna die even with like DR. So you basically need something that can sustain very well. So that's going to be an Act 2 Mercenary. with Defiance using Reaper's Toll. That's gonna be your main focus. And one thing I should mention about all the mercenaries that have some kind of proc weapon is your priority is attack speed. Don't put damage tools in the mercenaries weapon or anything, just put shale runes. Shale runes and attack speed jewels. If they need some res, maybe attack speed with res can help out the merc too, but mostly just put shale runes, max out that attack speed so they can proc it as often as reliably as possible, and that will get you best results every time. So yeah, Reaper's Toll, that's going to be better on this character because of how it works. No summons, jumps into the monsters. That's going to be your key for sure. It's a little bit of a different approach. It's definitely different from Wind and how it's got a different reliable mercenary. Act 4 casting Amp, the way that build works, it's just going to die probably, so that's how it is. Alright, double throw at deep wounds. Okay, so this is a build with light Lacerator, right? So Lacerator casts Amp, so you don't necessarily need Amp on the mercenary, and you attack from afar. Now before you get Lacerator, you could definitely, I would actually probably recommend something like an Act 5 Merc for the battle cry, or the Act 5 Merc with Might, just to get that extra aura for extra damage. Either way, Act 4 Mercenary for Amp can work, but it's squishy and it's not a front line, and you really want a front line on this ranged build if possible. So I personally prefer like the Act 5 Mercenary approaches early game before you get anything else. Once you kind of have a Lacerator on yourself though, and you have some other things, there's definitely a lot of other approaches. You could focus on movement speed. You can get Fanaticism, so like a Faith Act 1 Mercenary with Vigor Aura. It also has Templar's Might for another aura on top of that. Might Aura, of course. And then you just get damage, movement speed, and you just gun things down and run around, and it's a lot of fun. Double throw with or without deep wounds, it wouldn't matter. That's what you want to do. Of course, deep wounds is amazingly good early game because it requires really cheap gear and cheap junky items, and it does a lot of damage, so that's definitely something to consider. But yeah, really good in those regards. Very early game, once again, I would go for the aura or the reliable battle cries and whirlwind for those mercenaries that really can frontline for you while also increasing your damage or survivability in some way. You can go Amp Act 4, it might be tough. Once you get Lacerator, there's no need for Amp at all, of course, though, from your mercenary. At that point, you really just want damage auras and damage boosting, and possibly even movement speed. That you don't really need because you can get Frenzy, so you stack up Frenzy with this build, ideally, before you double throw. But either way, pretty solid approaches on that character. That's typically what I would do, though. Don't mess around with
Sometimes it can feel like there's no way out of treatment-resistant depression. You take one antidepressant after another, and they aren't working.
You definitely want Fanaticism typically, though, because attack speed's definitely a very important component of this build. I wouldn't mess around with like Act 2 Mercenaries on this particular character. If you're really struggling with attack rating though, which isn't typically a thing with double throw, but it can be, that's when you go Blessed Aim for Blessed Aim Act 2 Mercenary, and that also goes for all the rest of these physical damage builds. If you're really struggling with attack rating, remember what I said up here in the assassin builds. That Blessed Aim Act 2 Mercenary will really help very early on, sometimes all of them. Alright, now that that's kind of over with, Leap Attack. Leap Attack is definitely one of those situations where the Mercenary is mostly providing you auras, but unlike Double Throw where you need attack speed, Leap Attack and Whirlwind are a bit different. In the end game, you're going for a Might concentration aura, so Pride. Act 2 Mercenary, and you're going for Pride plus Templar's Might, and then also the fact that you could get Deadly Strike an AR off the Act 2, or if you don't need the AR or the Deadly Strike, you can get a Defiance on the Act 2 Mercenary as well, and that will typically be the best approach, but typically you're going to want that Deadly Strike, so that is a really good approach on these particular characters. You don't need Act 5 or Act 1 Mercenaries, which have better options for getting Fanaticism, and typically proccing amp on these builds from the Mercenary isn't a thing because you move too quickly for the Mercenary to do so, or you abandon them so they die. If they're you know, some kind of amp proc build, they're going to be one of the squishier Mercenaries most likely. So it's just not going to work. You're definitely going to want to focus more on just getting them damage auras. They're an aura bot on these builds for sure. And very early game, you get that Might Aura Act 5 Mercenary, or you get that Blessed Aim Act 2 Mercenary. You just want those damage auras right away. It's easy to get amp on these characters using various weapons like Reaper's Toll early on. And you know, there's also other good options for amp as well, like Cranium Basher on Leap Attack, and also there's all kinds of other weapons that can proc it. There's Atmas that can proc it in Whirlwind. So yeah, that's pretty much what you're looking for on that. And remember early on, you know, Blessed Aim, Might, that's typically what you're going to want to do. Same thing on Frenzy, Blessed Aim or Might. But of course, you know, you always have a couple of other options as well. If you want something to frontline, the Whirlwind Mercenary isn't bad as well. It does a lot of damage, and also can proc Battle Cry for you as well. But that's pretty much it. It pretty much has a lot of the same options. However, unlike with these two, once again, attack speed matters. So Frenzy, Double Swing, in a lot of ways is more like Double Throw. In the end game, you might want something like maybe even a Beast Might Mercenary. That's definitely a thing you can consider. Or a Beast Templars Mercenary that casts Battle Cry as it whirlwinds through things. So the Whirlwind Mercenary. Also, possibly a great idea. Typically the weapons that you want do a ton of damage and they're slower on Frenzy, and you just want them to do as much damage as possible. So that Fanaticism aura in the late game definitely comes back into play. Probably from Beast. You could also do it on Act 1, but once again they're probably going to die, so because there's not a lot of protection on the Barb. No summons in the Barb, no summons in the Sword. So you really got to think about how to protect them. Oftentimes it's going to be, you just need one of those tankier mercenaries, which is why usually the option on these is Act 2 or Act 5. Except with Double Throw, where you might be able to get away with an Act 1 Merc to some extent, because you can kill things like as they start to wind up to fire against you or whatever, you can kind of kill them. So it's a little, you might be able to get away with an Act 1 Merc with a Faith Bow here. It's definitely a possibility. Alright, so those are all the starter builds for the Barbarian. And now we have the Amazon. So the Amazon, we got another summoner here. Kind of like Summon Druid, a lot of similarity.
Do you know what's really fun? Making a website on Wix.
Hey, where Harry?
Let's go into Barbarian builds though. Alright, so Barbarian builds are kind of interesting. Some builds have easy ways to proc amp on their own, and then some builds just mostly want amp in general. And then other builds would really benefit from really reliable Battle Cry procs or Aura procs. So there's quite a few things you can do on the Barbarian in general, in the early and the late game. So it really kind of depends on your approach, but there's definitely a lot of different options here. We could talk about them though. On Warcry support Barbarian, in the very beginning, you're pretty much just looking at a mercenary that can kind of survive as you jump into the monsters with Leap and you use Warcry. So oftentimes that will be an Act 2 or an Act 5 mercenary. Act 5 can get Battle Cry down for you, but since you have max battle orders in this build, you really don't benefit much from that. So that's why I typically just prefer the Act 2 mercenary with Defiance, QTPR. Really good stuff. And then of course on top of that, it does give you some sustain for Warcry with the insight. So I like that early on. But then what you want to transition into is a reliable amplified damage sword, as it is a physical caster build. Just like the Wind build, just like Shockwave, pretty similar. But this build wants to jump into the monsters ideally with Leap or even Enigma, so the Mercenary right on top of the monsters of Enigma. That's why you want Enigma in the late game, because it brings the Mercenary with you. And then the Merc will proc amp with Reaper's Toll. And typically Reaper's is the most reliable proc, and you don't need huge AoE on this build like with an Act 1 Merc, but you don't have summons anyway on this build, so Act 1 Merc's just gonna die even with like DR. So you basically need something that can sustain very well. So that's gonna be an Act 2 Mercenary with Defiance using Reaper's Toll. That's gonna be your main focus. And one thing I should mention about all the mercenaries that have some kind of proc weapon is your priority is attack speed. Don't put damage jewels in the mercenary's weapon or anything, just put shale runes. Shale runes and attack speed jewels. If they need some res, maybe attack speed with res can work off the Merc too, but mostly just put shale runes, max out the attack speed so they can proc it as often as reliably as possible, and that will get you best results every time. So yeah, Reaper's Toll, that's going to be better on this character because of how it works. No summons, jumps into the monsters. That's going to be your key for sure. It's a little bit of a different approach. It's definitely different from Wind and how it's got a different reliable mercenary. Act 4 casting amp, the way that build works, it's just going to die probably, so that's how it is. Alright, double throw at deep wounds. Okay, so this is a build with light lacerator, right? So lacerator casts amp, so you don't necessarily need amp on the mercenary, and you attack from afar. Now before you get lacerator, you could definitely, I would actually probably recommend something like an Act 5 Merc for the battle cry, or the Act 5 Merc with Might, just to get that extra aura for extra damage. Either way. Act 4 Mercenary for amp can work, but it's squishy and it's not a front line. And you really want a front line on this ranged build if possible. So I personally prefer like the Act 5 Mercenary approaches early game before you get anything else. Once you kind of have a lacerator on yourself though, you have some other things, there's definitely a lot of other approaches. You could focus on movement speed, you can get fanaticism, so like a Faith Act 1 Mercenary with Vigor aura. It also has Templar's Might for another aura on top of that, Might aura of course. And you just get damage, movement speed, and you just gun things down and run around. It's a lot of fun. Double throw with or without deep wounds, it wouldn't matter. That's what you want to do. Of course, deep wounds is amazing to get early game because it requires really cheap gear and cheap junky items, and it does a lot of damage. So that's definitely something to consider. But yeah, really good in those regards. Very early game, once again, I would go for the aura or the reliable battle cries and whirlwind for those mercenaries that really can frontline for you, while also increasing your damage or survivability in some way. You can go amp Act 4, it might be tough. Once you get lacerated, there's no need for amp at all, of course, though. If you're mercenary, at that point you really just want damage auras and damage boosting, and possibly even movement speed. You don't really need, because you can get Frenzy, so you stack up Frenzy with this build, ideally, before you double throw. But either way, pretty solid approaches on that character. That's typically what I would do though. Don't mess around with you definitely want fanaticism typically though, because attack speed is definitely a very important component of this build. I wouldn't mess around with like Act 2 mercenaries on this particular character. If you're really struggling with attack rating though, which isn't typically a thing with double throw, but it can be, that's when you go Blessed Game from Blessed Aim Act 2 Mercenary, and that also goes for all the rest of these physical damage builds. If you're really struggling with attack rating, remember what I said up here in the Assassin builds. That Blessed Aim Act 2 Mercenary will really help very early on sometimes in all of them. Alright, now that that's kind of over with, Leap Attack. Leap Attack is definitely one of those situations where the Mercenary is mostly providing you auras. Unlike Double Throw where you need attack speed, Leap Attack and Whirlwind are a bit different. In the end game, you're going for a Might concentration aura, so Pride, Act 2 Mercenary. And you're going for Pride plus Templar's Might. And then also the fact that you can get Deadly Strike and AR off the Act 2, or if you don't need the AR or the Deadly Strike, you can go with Defiance on the Act 2 Mercenary as well. And that will typically be the best approach, but typically you're going to want that Deadly Strike, so that is a really good approach on these particular characters. You don't need Act 5 or Act 1 Mercenaries, which have better options for getting Fanaticism. And typically, proccing amp on these builds from the Mercenary isn't a thing because you move too quickly for the Mercenary to do so, or you abandon them so they die. If they're you know, some kind of amp proc build, they're going to be one of the squishier Mercenaries most likely. So it's just not going to work. You're definitely going to want to focus more on just getting them damage auras. They're an aura bot on these builds for sure. And very early game, you get that Might Aura Act 5 Mercenary, or you get that Blessed Aim Act 2 Mercenary. You just want those damage auras right away. It's easy to get amp on these characters using various weapons like Reaper's Toll early on. And you know, there's also other good options for amp as well, like Cranium Basher on Leap Attack, and also there's all kinds of other weapons that can proc it. There's Atmas that can proc it on Whirlwind. So yeah, that's pretty much what you're looking for on that.
Get more for your business with Microsoft 365. Stay connected with customers and securely share files with anyone. Stand out in your market with branded materials and custom email domains. Get more done with Microsoft 365.
At the time, my schizophrenia delusions and hallucinations were full-blown. I thought I had special powers. That when I made eye contact with people...
And remember early on, you know, Blessed Aim, Might, that's typically what you're going to want to do. Same thing on Frenzy, Blessed Aim or Might. But of course, you know, you always have a couple of other options as well. If you want something to frontline, the Whirlwind Mercenary isn't bad as well. It does a lot of damage. And also can proc Battle Cry for you as well. But that's pretty much it. It pretty much has a lot of the same options. However, unlike with these two, once again, attack speed matters. So Frenzy Double Swing in a lot of ways is more like Double Throw. In the end game, you might want something like maybe even a Beast Might Mercenary. That's definitely a thing you can consider. Or a Beast Templar's Mercenary that casts Battle Cry as it whirlwinds through things. So the Whirlwind Mercenary, also possibly a great idea. Typically the weapons that you want do a ton of damage and they're slower on Frenzy. You just want them to do as much damage as possible. So that Fanaticism aura in the late game definitely comes back into play. Probably for Beast, you could also do it on Act 1, but once again, they're probably going to die, so, because there's not a lot of protection on the Barb. No summons in the Barb, no summons in the Sword. So you really got to think about how to protect them. Oftentimes, it's going to be, you just need one of those tankier mercenaries, which is why usually the option on these is Act 2 or Act 5. Except with Double Throw, where you might be able to get away with an Act 1 Merc to some extent, because you can kill things like as as they start to wind up to fire against you or whatever, you can kind of kill them. So it's a little, you might be able to get away with an Act 1 Merc with a Faith Bow here. It's definitely a possibility. Alright, so those are all the starter builds for the Barbarian. And now we have the Amazon. So the Amazon, We got another summoner here. Kind of like Summon Druid, a lot of similarities. But what's very interesting about this particular build is that unlike some of those, you could proc amp yourself on the bow. And oftentimes that's exactly what you want to do. You want to get a witch wild for yourself, and then you proc amp yourself. So you don't necessarily need an Act 1 mercenary to do that for you. As a matter of fact, you could go something like
Good afternoon.
Whatchamacallit, the let's see. I think it's like oh yeah, that thing, yeah, Mist. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. So you could even do something like this on this character. Mist is pretty cheap, right? It's pretty budget. You can go like an amp bow early on to proc amp yourself with strafe, because you're the Act 1 mercenary in this case for your summons. And then you can give your Act 1 mercenary with Vigor aura so that your summons all move and more responsive, your Valkyries particularly, just the Valkyries. And then you can give them something like a Mist to give them another damage aura. That's arguably the cheapest way to put a damage physical aura on a mercenary, which all those options tend to be very expensive, whereas the elemental ones are a lot cheaper. You know, you have like Stormspire, you have Pus Spitter, you have Amp that's cheap on a mercenary, but you don't have like damage auras that are cheap on a mercenary. You know, the cheapest things are typically Templars, Faith, you know, Beast, Pride. Yeah, pretty tough stuff, but you can actually do Mist on this one. You can get the Vigor aura boost for the summons and also give them a damage aura. So that's actually kind of a fun way to do it. But, you know, you can also increase their attack speed too, and of course, in the late game, you can actually put Faith on yourself, so you can use Faith. Faith is a very strong strafe weapon, and then have Atmas on yourself. So like if you have Faith, you have Atmas, you're proccing the amp, you have